Ask almost any husband what he values in marriage, and you will hear familiar answers. Trust, loyalty, love, peace, faithfulness, companionship. All of these are essential, but there is one quality that quietly holds them all together. Without it, love begins to lose its warmth. Trust begins to weaken. Communication becomes guarded. Affection starts to disappear. That quality is respect. Ironically, respect is easiest to demonstrate when everything is going well. The real test comes when emotions are high, opinions clash, and disappointment fills the room. Anyone can speak kindly when they feel appreciated. Anyone can smile when they are getting their way. But can a husband remain respectful when he feels misunderstood? Can he protect his wife's dignity while correcting a mistake? Can he disagree without humiliating her? Those questions separate mature husbands from immature ones. An old Maasai proverb says, "The tongue has no bone, but it can break a heart." How true those words are. Many marriages have survived financial hardship. They have survived unemployment. They have survived illness. They have even survived great personal loss. Yet countless marriages have quietly deteriorated under something much smaller: repeated disrespect. Not because it happened once, but because it became a habit. That is why the fifth timeless law is this: a mature husband protects his wife's dignity even when they disagree. Greetings, respected guild members around the world. As we continue exploring the importance of marital wisdom for men, today's section will focus on the issue of respect. We shall be observing law number 5, titled "Respect is Most Valuable During Conflict." But before we go into that, please kindly take a moment to subscribe to this channel. Also, tap on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. We would also appreciate your comments. Thank you. First point of note: respect is not a reward. It is a standard. One of the biggest misunderstandings in marriage is believing that respect must be earned before it is given. Many husbands unconsciously think, if she speaks respectfully to me, then I'll speak respectfully to her. If she changes her attitude, I'll change mine. If she apologizes first, then I'll soften. That way of thinking places your character in someone else's hands. A mature husband refuses to do that. His standard does not rise and fall with his emotions. It remains steady. He understands something profound. Respect is not merely how we treat people when they deserve it. It is how we choose to conduct ourselves regardless of the circumstances. Behavioral researchers have consistently observed that couples who maintain respectful communication during disagreements are significantly more likely to resolve conflicts constructively than couples who rely on contempt, sarcasm, ridicule, or personal attacks. Respect acts as a stabilizing force, allowing difficult conversations to remain productive instead of becoming destructive. Respect, therefore, is not passive. It is disciplined self-control. Point number 2. Why disrespect leaves lasting scars. Physical wounds eventually heal. Financial losses can often be recovered, but humiliation has a unique way of lingering. A wife may forget the exact details of an argument. She may forget the date. She may even forget what started it. But she is unlikely to forget how she felt when her husband mocked her, dismissed her, or embarrassed her. Psychologists often distinguish between conflict and contempt. Conflict is a disagreement. Contempt, however, communicates superiority. It sends the message, "I am above you." Decades of marriage research have consistently identified contempt as one of the strongest predictors of long-term relationship breakdown because it erodes mutual respect and emotional safety. That is why mature husbands guard against subtle forms of disrespect, not just obvious insults. Sarcasm, eye-rolling, mocking laughter, interrupting, speaking over their wife, using past mistakes as weapons. These behaviors may seem small in the moment, but repeated over time, they become cracks in the foundation of a marriage. As an old Romanian proverb wisely says, a single spark can burn down an entire forest. One disrespectful habit, repeated often enough, can slowly consume years of trust. What then should be the best practice? Correct without belittling. Every husband will eventually need to address difficult issues. Perhaps it concerns finances, parenting, broken promises, poor communication, family boundaries. The issue itself is not the problem. How it is discussed often is. An immature husband corrects by attacking. A mature husband corrects by elevating the conversation. He focuses on the behavior rather than attacking the character of the woman he loves. Instead of saying, "You embarrass me every time we go out. Something happened tonight that I'd really like us to talk about because our relationship matters to me." Instead of saying, "You never think before you speak," he says, "I think we misunderstood each other earlier. Can we go back and talk through it calmly?" Notice the difference. One approach creates shame. The other creates space for growth. A wise Korean proverb reminds us, words have no wings, but they can fly 1,000 miles. Once spoken, they travel farther than we imagine. Let's consider this case for example. Andrew and his wife Maria were hosting several close friends for dinner. During the conversation, Maria accidentally mixed up an important detail while telling a story. Without thinking, Andrew laughed and said, "You always get these things wrong." Everyone laughed politely. Maria smiled, but inside she felt deeply embarrassed. The evening ended. The guests went home. Later that night, she quietly asked, "Why did you make me feel so small in front of everyone?" Andrew had not intended to humiliate her. He thought he was simply joking. But intention does not erase impact. From that day forward, he made a decision. If correction was ever necessary, it would happen privately, never publicly. Months later, one of his friends noticed the change. "You always make your wife feel respected," he remarked. Andrew smiled. "I learned that protecting her dignity is more important than protecting my pride." That lesson transformed not only his marriage, but also the atmosphere of his home. Consider a case of a forgotten birthday, for example. Sophia forgot her husband's birthday. She was overwhelmed with caring for her aging father, managing work responsibilities, and supporting their children through exams. David was hurt, very hurt. His first impulse was to withdraw emotionally, to punish her with silence, to make her feel the same disappointment he was feeling. Instead, he waited until the following evening. Calmly, he said, "I know you didn't do it intentionally, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt." There was no accusation, no sarcasm, no emotional manipulation, only honesty delivered with respect. Sophia immediately apologized. She organized a quiet celebration the following weekend. The issue was resolved, not because David ignored his feelings, but because he expressed them without attacking hers. As an old Mexican proverb says, kindness opens doors that force cannot. Now, let's look at one important aspect, the power of private honor. One of the habits common among deeply respected husbands is surprisingly simple. They never seek to win support against their wives. When conflict arises, they do not ridicule their wives before relatives. They do not gather friends to prove they are right. They do not embarrass their wives on social media. They understand that public humiliation creates private wounds. Marriage counselors frequently observe that when spouses recruit outsiders merely to validate their own position, the conflict often becomes more complicated and trust is weakened. Mature couples seek understanding and solutions rather than public approval. A mature husband protects his wife's reputation, even when they disagree, because he understands something many men overlook. The way you speak about your wife when she is absent says as much about your character as the way you speak to her when she is present. An old Ethiopian proverb says, "The one who throws mud loses ground." Every attempt to diminish your spouse ultimately diminishes the marriage itself. Another crucial aspect to always remember is that the children are also learning from you. Imagine your young son standing quietly in the hallway. He hears every conversation. He notices every interruption. He watches every disagreement. Without realizing it, he is forming his understanding of how a husband should treat a wife. Now imagine your daughter watching the same scenes. She is also learning. She is quietly deciding what kind of treatment she will one day consider normal. Developmental psychologists have long shown that children internalize relationship patterns through repeated observation. Respectful conflict teaches emotional security. Chronic disrespect teaches fear, avoidance, or aggression. Your marriage is writing lessons your children will remember long after they forget your words. An old Native American proverb says, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children." The same is true of family culture. We are borrowing the future from the next generation. Now let's take a close look at the transformation that happens when respect becomes the culture of the home. Imagine entering two different houses. In the first, people speak over one another. Sarcasm is common. Small mistakes become major criticisms. Everyone walks carefully, afraid of saying the wrong thing. Now imagine another home. People still disagree. Mistakes still happen. Stress still exists. But everyone speaks with dignity. Corrections are gentle. Apologies are sincere. Laughter returns quickly after conflict. Which home would you rather build? Respect changes more than conversations. It changes the emotional climate of an entire family. When a husband consistently protects his wife's dignity, something beautiful happens. She becomes more willing to speak honestly, more willing to admit mistakes, more willing to work through challenges together. Respect does not weaken authority, it strengthens influence, because people naturally trust those who consistently honor them. Now, let's look at the practical habits every husband should develop. To make respect a permanent part of your marriage, never insult your wife during an argument, even in jest. Correct sensitive issues privately rather than publicly. Eliminate sarcasm. Remove ridicule and contempt from your vocabulary. Allow your wife to finish speaking before responding. Speak to her in the same tone you hope your children will one day use with their own spouses. Ask yourself before every difficult conversation, will my words leave her feeling smaller or stronger? Remember that preserving dignity often solves more problems than proving a point. These habits seem ordinary. Over years, they become extraordinary. Now, as we conclude on the fifth law, here is the basic lesson to always remember. An old Chinese proverb teaches, respect yourself and others will respect you. In marriage, that wisdom takes on an even deeper meaning. When a husband consistently conducts himself with dignity, patience, and respect, I create an environment where respect is more likely to be returned. I cannot control every response, but I can always control my own standard. And that standard becomes one of the greatest gifts I offer my wife and family. Years from now, your children may not remember every vacation you planned or every gift you bought, but they will remember whether their father treated their mother with honor, especially when it was hardest to do so. That memory will shape their understanding of marriage for the rest of their lives. Now, before we delve into Law 6 in the next video, here's a recap of what we've covered so far. You have now learned 5 timeless laws. 1. Master yourself before you master the conversation. 2. Seek understanding before offering solutions. 3. Never turn your wife into the enemy. 4. Choose humility over pride. 5. Protect your wife's dignity through unwavering respect. Yet even respectful husbands sometimes make one costly mistake. They choose the wrong moment to discuss the right issue. Timing, as you will discover next, is not a minor detail in marriage. It can determine whether a conversation heals a relationship or quietly wounds it. That is where we turn in Law 6. Timing can save a marriage. Thank you for watching. Please, if this message resonates with you, do well to share it with your loved ones and also subscribe to our channel. Remember to give us a like and drop your comments. Bye for now.